Welcome to Back Issues. I'm Sal.
I'm Ethan.
And I'm Ben.
Today I thought we'd talk about nobody's favorite superhero, Aquaman.
That's not true.
That's not my words. Those are Aquaman's words.
Oh, really?
Well, not his, but his detractors in the book.
Oh.
This is written by, it's written by Jeff Johns.
Hey!
With art by Ivan Rice, who did some amazing work in Justice League and on Aquaman. This is the first volume from the New 52. If ever you were going to be on board for Aquaman,
right
this
now.
is the time.
What about Rebirth?
5 years ago.
Nope.
No. Incidentally, this episode will be released on the 5-year anniversary of the first issue of this book.
Oh.
Yeah.
Cool.
Aquaman has had a troubled, storied history, but rather than get into it, I think we'll just get into the first volume and talk about the story, and we'll see what questions arise from that.
This is not Aquaman with harpoon arm.
No.
This is reset.
He had a harpoon arm, then he had a enchanted water hand.
Oh.
He didn't really lose an arm. He only lost, a hand.
From the
Right.
hand. Like the wrist.
Yeah, the wrist, exactly.
As if he was a thief in the Middle East, like Aladdin
In
stories.
Aladdin, yeah. No, it was eaten by piranhas, and yeah.
Couldn't he just make them stop?
No, he lost his ability to communicate with
Oh.
aquatic life,
Wow.
and that's when they struck.
Then, if you don't have that, who the hell are you?
That's right. Well,
Why
then-
didn't he just fight them off?
Well, because his hand was being pushed in.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then he grew out he actually had long hair at the time and a beard, and then he got the harpoon hand, and then he got a stupid, hook hand that also shot and became like a grappling hook hand. And then,
That seems awesome.
yeah, it's pretty sweet. We're in the New 52 now. It's over.
It's all new and all different.
He actually got his hand fixed after Blackest Night, because he had been dead, then resurrected, and when he was resurrected during Brightest Day or whatever, his hand came back.
Okay.
So
Again, we'll give his hand
yeah.
back.
yeah, and then they rebooted everything, and now we're back. Although, incidentally, they kind of kept, everything. This is one of those few characters that didn't lose all of their origins, because nobody really gave a shit anyway. Mm-hmm. So it's if we throw
he
away...
could be the same as he was.
Yeah, if we throw everything away, then what does he have left?
Then he's just a guy who talks to fish.
He doesn't talk to fish, and I'll say that again, he does not talk to fish. It's reiterated time and time again. Justice League Origin, in the goddamn Justice League teaser trailer, he doesn't talk to fish. And the fact is, he winds up actually refuting this against you. Specifically, the reader/internet.
Ah.
He reacts to that. And in kind of a ham-fisted, direct, fourth wall breaking kind of way.
Yeah.
There's no full page spread who goes, hey you,
Right.
I don't talk to fish. No, it's more Aquaman is in this weird crossroads at his life where he is rejecting the throne of Atlantis. He's kind of the heir to the throne of Atlantis. He's been king of Atlantis for a time.
Okay.
And now
So he's abdicating?
he's abdicating the throne in favor of living on land the way his father did.
Blasphemy.
I know. People forget he's actually half human. He's like Spock.
Ah.
His mother was Atlantean, and his father was a human.
He doesn't, is that why he can't talk to fish? Because he's a...
No, okay. The issue is people think he talks to
doesn't
fish.
talk to fish. What does he bring to the table?
Okay, first of all,
He's incredibly dense.
he is incredibly dense. He has great strength.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh, I just meant he was dumb.
He's really strong, and he is incredibly fast at swimming.
Okay.
I think he actually opened a tunnel through almost like a wormhole, but in space. It's not in space; it's underwater. It's more like he can create
He
like
creates
a
a lower friction field or something around him.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and he can also force aquatic life to bid his commands.
Okay.
To bend to his will.
Yes.
It's like a telepathy kind of thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
But not in a friendly, copacetic kind of way.
He's not
taking
friends
over
with
their
them.
mind.
No.
It's not like, hey, fish, how are you doing? Oh, I'm pretty good, Aquaman. Great. Can you go over there and
grab me
that
something?
thing?
No.
It's not that. It's
Literally, there's a moment where Aquaman goes to a seafood restaurant because Aquaman, when he abdicates the throne, he moves back into a lighthouse. There was a time when Aquaman lived in a lighthouse with his wife Mera, and
because it's lonely.
No, because it's by the sea.
But it's by the sea.
There are lots of places by the sea.
It's
You can get yourself a
metaphorical
shore
and it's
house.
also literal. He lives by the sea, by the way, near Boston, and he moved back into this lighthouse with Mera, his wife or girlfriend. He had a wife named Mera pre New 52, and she seemingly nothing changed. And I'm not a huge Aquaman fan, so I don't know if she's like his wife or his girlfriend, but it's kind of awkward for him to be like, this is my girlfriend, Mara, so I don't think that they acknowledged it in any particular way.
Maybe his betrothed, but they're not married yet.
Yeah, maybe, because I remember
It's
him...
a common law marriage.
Yeah, because I remember he actually does propose to her like around the time when DC Rebirth took place. So I was like, yeah, but it could have been like he was looking for like human marriage. Maybe he had aquatic marriage.
Right, but it's not legal in the U.S.
So
Yeah.
there are two different types of
The U.S. doesn't
I think
recognize
so.
aquatic
Aquamarriage.
marriages.
Yeah, aqua marriage, like aquatic justice.
That's right.
And it's like an interspecies marriage, right? 'Cause
That's right. He's half human,
Right.
and she is complicated, like their relationship.
I thought she was going to be full
Facebook
Atlantean.
status.
You're like, you never go full Atlantean.
She's kind of full Atlantean. Originally, she was from Dimension Aqua, which was like another reality. But
with really bright, bubbly songs from the 90s?
yeah, she's still from Dimension Aqua, but like it's called something else, and it was actually almost like the Phantom Zone for the Kryptonians.
Okay.
It was a dimension where Atlanteans sent undesirables.
Oh.
And she was the product of undesirables that lived in that dimension, and she was bred to slay the ruler of Atlantis, who was their, captor.
So you could say she's from the wrong side of the reef.
You could say that. It takes a lot of effort to send anyone through, so they couldn't send like legions of, disaffected Atlanteans, so they sent her to kind of seduce and then murder then King of Atlantis, who was Aquaman. But then she wound up actually falling in love with him and then
Because
rejecting
he's just so
her
down
birthright.
likable.
He is. He's just a nice guy. He's really... The thing is, he's
He's
so...
friends with all the fish. No, wait,
He's not friends!
He's not.
He's a tyrant to fish. So, anyway...
He's actually violating.
He's kind of like a
sounds
Oh, it
scammer
is.
in a
But
way.
they're stupid. He makes the point... Okay, so anyway, she...
But they're beasts.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. They're like cows.
Yeah, it's like saying that you can talk to
They're dumber
horses.
than cows.
It's like being a horse whisperer. You don't... Anyway...
It's not like Gandalf like talking to that moth. Where he's like,
No, where he like respects that moth,
yeah.
and
it's like his friend. And
there's a whole appendic about that moth
About
and
the
where it
moth
went
and-
and
yeah.
the lineage that it.
Clearly,
crossed.
he doesn't respect the fish because he still eats fish.
Yes, there's a scene in this book where he goes to this like seafood restaurant, and everyone's like, "Oh," and he sits down at a booth, and he had just saved some people from some robbers.
Yeah.
Some like bank robbers were doing their thing, and then Aquaman showed up, and everyone's like, "Fucking, you guys showed up robbing this bank." Literally, they're robbing the bank. Fucking Aquaman stands before them, and they go, well, "Dude, is that Aquaman?" LOL.
They're just laughing.
And they just laugh at him, and the cops are like, "What the hell's Aquaman doing here?"
yeah, what's he gonna do?
I don't see any fish around. We're already out of the gate establishing that everyone has a preconceived idea about who Aquaman is, what he's all about. And then Aquaman brandishes his nifty sweet trident and picks the truck up, by its engine and smashes it, and then takes a whole bunch of bullets and kicks their asses.
Nice.
Oh, so like he can't be shot.
He can be shot. As you can see, he bleeds a little bit. He's
Oh,
not
okay.
as strong as Superman, but his armor certainly is.
Okay,
That-
they're reflecting off of the scales, and like one
well, he also gets hit in the
ricochets.
face.
Yeah, I think actually either he gets shot in the face or it ricochets. Either way, he can take a bullet,
Right.
but it still hurts.
Okay.
But man, is he pissed after?
But yeah, and he takes it like a champ. He's just like, ugh.
Yeah, he'd rather not.
Like they threw a rock at him.
Yes. So he kicks their ass, and then the cops are
Small
like,
rock.
"What are you doing here?" And they assume
This is
that
not
like,
your domain.
yeah. In fact, the cops even say like, "I can't believe we just got upstaged by Aquaman." So anyway, Aquaman goes to this seafood restaurant to get some food, and they're like, you can't have fish. You talk to them. Like, they're your friends." And he's like,
this is almost cannibals.
yeah, and he's like, "Fish are stupid. Why would I eat, like, what?"
I don't think you understand. I live in the ocean. That's all I have is fish to eat.
Yeah.
I'm not eating plankton.
If I could talk to fish, why would it be okay for you to eat fish?
Yeah, wouldn't I be an advocate for fish?
Yeah,
I wouldn't be battling you, like your villains. I'd be battling you and saving my brethren.
The fact that you thought that I talk to fish means that you should be vegetarians, because that means that you think fish have feelings and like lives
Yeah.
of value.
Right, that I would associate with.
Well, that anyone could, that you could even talk to one
Yeah.
would mean that it would be a terrible, horrendous crime.
We'd
Yeah.
be committing genocide against fish.
Just nonstop Holocaust since the dawn of man. At one point, a waitress comes over and she's like, "So, hello, what will you have?" And he's like, "Fish and chips. That sounds good." like this blogger shows up and he's like, do you mind if I ask you a few questions? And he's like, cool. Sits with him and then just starts asking him all these obnoxious questions that the reader would ask if they didn't give a shit about Aquaman. It's the New 52, but it's also DC being like, we're trying to get people on the ground floor. Let's address and then dismiss all the criticism that we've been suffering for Aquaman since 1940. He's like, no, I don't do any of that shit. And he's like, so do you have a day job or are you Aquaman all the time? And he's like, I am Aquaman all the time. He's like, well, how does that pay? Like, how do you make money?
How are you buying this food right now?
Right, and Aquaman has like this vision of where he gets his money, and he gets it from like sunken treasure.
Oh.
And he just has like all these gold doubloons, and he's like, I get by.
That's really funny.
And later, when he eventually is ridiculed out of the restaurant by frustrating people, he gives the waitress, who was very nice to him, and in fact says like, I'm trying to put my kids through college doing this shitty job. He gives her 2 doubloons, and she's like, what am I supposed to do with this? And he goes, put your kids through college.
She's like, this is only about 10 grand.
Right.
What is this, community college?
I don't know.
She's like, look, I'm not
made of
hanging out.
doubloons. He never gets his food, and he just suffers fools.
And then he brandishes his trident.
Yeah.
Was he going to try to pay them in
doubloons?
Or does he also have real money?
I think he just has gold.
I assume that doubloons are the only way to pay because, like, if you're underwater, money's just going to get wet.
Well,
Soggy and shit.
he does have a house, though, that he lives in, and he could keep his money there. But he just came
But he doesn't
from...
have pockets.
No. Or at least we don't see them.
Well, he
'cause
must,
has
because
the
he gives
gold.
her some, yeah.
Maybe he's going to pay with regular money, but then he would tip in a doubloon because she's like, I don't know how to put this down on my taxes. Like,
Yeah. He's
one
like,
doubloon?
just say I didn't pay you, and that's that, yeah.
You say you found it on the beach.
That's right. That's fine. So yeah, Aquaman fucking leaves, and he's like miserable. And we're kind of just building the tension.
face!
Yeah, she's thrilled.
Put your kid through college.
And everyone in the restaurant's like, wow, Aquaman ate here. That sucks.
Except there's his food.
I have
He
a
didn't get
story,
it.
kind of.
Yeah, he didn't get it. Yeah, I have a story, kind of. Mara is a little unstable. And that's kind of like her kryptonite, is that she's kind of a nut job.
Oh.
Because she lived in this pocket dimension forever and was indoctrinated to kill the man that she winds up loving and then marrying and then supporting and then having a child with.
And that, that does addle the brain a bit.
Well, what really makes it go nuts is the fact that she and Aquaman wind up having a son.
Okay.
And by the way, they betray how original and creative they are by naming him Arthur Curry Jr., also known as Aquababy.
Aquababy?
God
You
damn
can't be called Aquababy when he grows up, though.
No, but he's now Aquababy, and then when he grows up, which he never does because villain Black Manta winds up suffocating and killing Aquababy.
Oh!
Which
wow!
makes Mara go kind of bonkers. But like
That happened before this?
before New 52, so it might have happened or not. The other thing is that she's like, she hates humans. Or rather, she only tolerates them because the man she loves is half human.
Right.
And tolerates them as well. But she suffers even worse indignities than Aquaman because people are like, it's Aquawoman! And she's like, that is so derivative and stupid. My name is Mara. There's no last name. There's no other thing. It's not short for anything.
It's just Mara.
Yeah. And
What's your baby's name? Aquababy.
Aquababy. By the way, she's cool.
Oh, really?
Her powers are she has control over water. And she can create hard water constructs out of it. Like having the Green Lantern ring, but with water.
Or being a waterbender.
Yes, she's a waterbender.
Interesting.
Yeah. And everything that implies.
That's awesome.
So, in this story, we learn about this as yet unseen and never discovered race of subterranean dwellers, fishmen, that are horrifying looking.
Yikes.
But they're like on the lowest level. They're deep within the trench, which is why the volume's called The Trench, by the way.
Oh, yeah. Well, that makes sense.
But they live down there
Looking
and...
for below the Challenger depth.
Yeah. That's the idea. So...
James Cameron went down there.
He did. He was the first person to go down there.
And he violated their territory, and now they're pissed.
Yeah.
Thanks, James.
Yeah. No, they don't even try to make a James Cameron joke. But they're out of food, is what the idea is. And
They had food?
well, they would forage for it, but because of all the fishing that's been going on and all that stuff, they're not really adjusted to top. They don't even know that there is a surface.
Right.
But
Huh.
desperation for food forces them upwards.
Okay.
And when they do, we see that like they're thinking in this like native language, but we get the translations. And basically all they think is food. There's food up here. This is food. That's my
delicious.
food. And
It doesn't taste like seawater.
we don't really know what they're thinking as far as how delicious we are, but
Hey, if we're anything like pigs,
yeah,
we are
amazing. But and there's a million uses for us.
oh, their belly is the best.
So they wind up slaughtering this fishing boat,
Oh, wow.
and then when they find the fishing boat and they eat everybody on it, they then see land, and they're like, there must be more food that way. And like this mom and their young son are on the docks waiting for dad to come back from the fishing boat.
Oh, my God.
And
No!
these monsters come, and like that's all you see is there. She's like, "Look, it's Dad's boat," and you're like, "Oh crap!" And boom, that's the end of that.
Oh.
So
Why don't they eat like whales and fish and shit?
they probably do, but they're relegated to this one location. You know, so they only kind of catch whatever comes through, and whatever comes through at the lowest depths. So like once we've fished,
Well, yeah,
and
but once
farmed
they
that
come
area,
out of those depths, there's
no, they
still
should,
food in the
yes,
ocean.
but they find the fishing boat directly above them.
I see, and it's it's a lot easier to catch probably people than it is like fast
Moving,
fish
yeah.
and sharks and
But
stuff.
probably they also noticed the fish that were being fished
Right,
above them, and then
right.
they just follow the natural, you know.
Yeah, like, oh man, there's a whole bunch of fish right there.
Right,
in
and
this
that's-
giant net thing.
Yeah, I'll follow the rope and see where it goes. Yeah,
How many of these things are we facing right now?
probably a dozen.
Okay.
But
It's not like an army.
no, but they are strong enough to pierce Aquaman's armor, so like they're pretty serious shit.
I would call this a squad.
Yeah, or a
pod.
school, a pod.
All right, that's lame.
I like school and pod, which makes it a squad. So there you go. By the way, we also learn a little bit about their like socio-biological happenings, where one of them like heaves on a man and says, "That's my food." Like it's established that like I've marked my food.
It's like licking something to make it yours.
Yeah. This deputy winds up going to Aquaman's house, and he's like, "I heard a rumor that you lived in a lighthouse, so I just wound up hitting every lighthouse until I found you."
Why?
Because there's some goings on down at the docks, and there's missing people and shit, and also we found this boat, and it's full of or full of blood and no people.
And it's not like I had anything to call you with, like a conch or something.
No. Yeah, or a seahorn. And by the way, he winds up like breaking rank. He like the actual sheriff is there, and when Aquaman and Mera show up, he's like, "What the hell is this second-rate superhero doing here? We're trying to conduct a police investigation."
Superman.
Yeah, if you want to call a superhero, call a real one like
Man,
Batman.
they keep calling her Aquawoman.
They do, and it really pisses her off. And it's funny though, they do have like divers who are investigating the situation, and one of them's like, "Hey, Aquaman, man, I would kill to breathe underwater." Like they're establishing Aquaman's kind of cool. Like, dude can breathe underwater, he can talk underwater, he can hear fucking fish. That's really useful.
To a diver, that's really important.
Yeah, and there's a subset of humanity that wants to do that kind of thing. So marine biologists probably find Aquaman pretty cool.
Or people who are terrified of drowning, really want to breathe underwater, maybe.
Right? They might find Aquaman to be their favorite superhero at the time. Suddenly he hears the voices of these creatures, and they're all saying food.
Oh.
And so
That ain't good.
then they all storm the docks.
Oh, wow.
And Aquaman and Mera make quick work of them using their awesome powers.
Nice.
And it's pretty sweet. Mera is like, by the way, back pre-New 52, Mera was a Red Lantern because of her rage. So like, she is hardcore. And she uses her fucking water powers to like slaughter these fucking things. And
awesome.
Aquaman is a little
Kind of turned on by it, because you're just like, yeah,
but
that's
like
my wife.
he's kind of measured. He doesn't necessarily. These are clearly like a species.
Yeah.
They are advanced. They have communication.
They're like
Yeah,
people.
but this
Yeah.
is something he has never seen before.
No, but he's also like. But that's why he's taking a measured hand. He's not necessarily just slaughtering them.
They
Although
have like a society, and
that's
you
the
know.
thing. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like it'd be like killing people.
Yeah. Maybe he doesn't know.
Yeah, murderous asshole people.
Well,
Yeah.
he doesn't know that.
Or
It
at least
came out of the
gross-looking
water.
people.
Yeah, well, yeah, they are really gross, and they look pretty evil.
Yeah.
So it's probably okay to kill them.
So then one of the creatures, and presumably the alpha, heaves on Aquaman.
Oh no!
He's like, that's special food. We're gonna keep that. And you know,
Does it affect him in some way?
no, that'd be interesting if it like made him like weak or whatever. But no, he's fine. Although they do establish later that the heave causes paralysis in lesser beings like humans.
Oh, okay. Wow.
It's how they were able to.
So we're lesser beings.
Well, like lesser in terms of weakerness. Yeah.
Wow, that guy's got all sorts of like fins and accoutrement all
Oh
over.
yeah.
Yeah.
He's
decked
definitely the
out.
alpha.
Yes. He actually glows too. It's neat.
Sweet.
He's bioluminescent.
Because he's from the depths. where
That's
there's
right.
no
He
light.
needs to be able to be. Yeah. So, so then the main thing is like, we got to bring our food home. We got to go. So then we all just kind of bail. They abandon Aquaman and they leave. And because they're being slaughtered by fucking
Right,
Mera and
we're
Aquaman.
losing. We gotta go. We'll come back for Aquaman.
Yeah. And so Aquaman's like, yeah, but where did they go? I don't understand anything about these things.
Yeah.
And
The police are like, oh, jeez, you got one job.
Yeah.
To know about the sea.
Yeah, you need to know everything about the ocean. Literally everything.
they're more or less like, yay, they're gone.
Oh.
But at the same time, like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
So they crack open that barnacle they took, and it was one of the dogs, or it was a dog that was on the fishing boat.
Oh.
And it survived. It was in this thing. And it was preserved, even though it was underwater.
Okay.
So, presumably, some of the people who were on the ship might not be dead. They might be in these cocoon
James
things.
Cameron is going to buy that technology.
Oh, yeah. And then get inside of it.
Put me in that cocoon and just drop me on the ocean floor.
Yeah. Where I really belong, I guess.
I've always wanted to live under the sea.
So Aquaman leaves with Mera and a body of one of the creatures. And Aquaman's
study
like,
it.
yes, but he's not a scientist or anything like that. Thankfully, he knows one named Mr. Shin. And
It's just called the Flash.
nah, for some reason, he does not involve himself with the Justice League, even though Aquaman is kind of bending over backwards to establish himself as kind of a superhero again.
Right. But he's got this chip on his shoulder about people, so I can see him not wanting to.
Right. Even though he is a founding member of the Justice League.
Yeah. Well, this is but all new, all different.
No, this is New 52.
Right.
Marvel did the all new, all different.
Yeah,
Where
but
where nothing was different or new.
Right. I mean, the same thing, though. Like,
Yeah.
he has a similar backstory, but all the other characters are different, so the whole
Yeah.
Justice League.
No, it's true. Mera was looking through that like photo album back earlier in the story, and at one point there was a photo of Aquaman, his father, and this Mr. Shin guy. And Mera's like, "Who's that?" And he's like, "This photo should not be in here." And you're like, "Oh, who's that?" Then later, when he steals the body of this creature, he's like, "We got to go to the guy that I said I didn't want to look at in the photo." Mr. Shin like kind of taught Aquaman how to like use his powers and crap because he's obsessed with Atlantis and Atlanteans and Aquaman.
Like the myths of it or the actual science behind it?
The actual science behind it, but he doesn't know anything about it. He like all he has are like the myths and everything. Any
Is this, like, changing the backstory?
I looked up Mr. Shin because I'm not the biggest Aquaman fan, and all I could find was the New 52 version. So I think it's a retcon.
All right.
But anyway, Aquaman talks about him kind of fondly, and then she's like, "What then? What happened?" Then he goes, "Then he tried to kill me."
Oh.
And she's like, "Why?" And he's like, "Because I wouldn't take him to Atlantis."
So he tries to kill him?
Yeah,
That's weird.
because he's obsessed. He's
like-
obsessed, like you
yeah.
read about. Like he's just nuts.
All right. He's
So-
not a stable person.
No. So anyway, he brings this creature to Mr. Shin. He's like, "Holy shit."
And then he slaps him in the face. And he's just like, I'm sorry I had to do that.
Yeah, I tried to kill you. This is the closest I could get. So he winds up giving him some like information about what it must be like. He's like, okay, so it's bioluminescent, which means it has to be able to produce a whole bunch of energy, which means it needs to absorb a lot of food, and it probably needs to eat all the time in order to function. And
Kind of like a shark.
yeah, and he touches its saliva, and he's like, my fingers are becoming numb to the touch, which means like it must induce paralysis on humans and shit.
Okay.
And it was able to pierce your armor, which is Atlantean, which means that it's also incredibly strong and blah blah blah. He basically gives him all this information where he's like, it needs to be able to survive under enormous pressure. He's just like, this is insane, and it could possibly legitimize all of my work and bring me notoriety and fame and solve all my problems because I live like a schlub in this miserable house. And Aquaman's like, no, you can't have it.
I was going to make that joke, be like, oh, it could really help you out then? Well, then I'm keeping it.
Yeah.
And he's like, no, you can't do this to me again. You can't ruin me again, Aquaman. Where's Atlantis? And Aquaman's like, Jesus Christ, this guy.
Goodbye, Mr. Shin.
And Mera says,
help.
and then Mera and Aquaman talk to the audience when she says, who is he? And he goes, he could be a very dangerous man one day, but for now he's just a pathetic one. So then they wind up just kind of diving into the trench and going as deep as they possibly can. And when they do,
Not a bad idea.
I know.
We know where these things come from.
yeah, so they know where the trench is. They go down there and they find a downed Atlantean craft, a vessel that is really, really old.
Okay.
and they wind up just infiltrating it and find like kind of like inbred flipper baby versions of these creatures because there's
Ugly anglerfish-like things.
yes, they don't have a pure bloodline anymore. They're all kind of relegated to this one spot, and they're all kind of inbreeding and becoming like thoughtless monsters. And of course, they have this huge queen that they're all kind of bringing the food to and everything.
These eggs.
Yeah. Well, actually, no, those are the cocoons.
Those are the cocoons of the people.
Yeah. So Aquaman's like, okay, this is the breeding ground where they kind of, fulfill the queen's ability to reproduce, and all those people are in these cocoons, and there's too many cocoons for us to grab and leave without alerting the creatures. So we're gonna have to use our fucking strength and just push the wall they're attached to out of the trench. So they just swim up to the wall and just push with all their might. They just cram the whole fucking wall full of cocoons through the trench and make their way.
Yeah, they break it out of the ship.
Yeah, and make their way up.
Nice.
But of course, the creatures are chasing them. So Aquaman's like, "All right, Mary, you've got it from here," because she's also incredibly strong. He's like, "You take it from here, and I'll fight
them off."
I'll hold them off."
Yeah.
And she's like, I would be much better at that because of the whole we're all in water thing, and I'm incredibly good with water.
Exactly. So she winds up bringing it to the surface, but the queen is attacking him, and everything's going nuts. And he's trying not to kill them because he hears their thoughts, and their thoughts are things like, "You took the queen's food. She needs that food for the children."
Oh.
And he's like, "God damn it." And he's like, if
This sucks.
he's trying really hard not to, and he's like, there's only one way out of this. And so he uses his trident to pierce the volcanic barrier between the trench and them
shit.
and blasts the queen and basically commits complete genocide against these creatures and kills them all through volcanic lava.
Wow.
Well, I'm sorry, but
He winds up sealing the trench with lava.
I'm friends with more humans than with you, so
And like,
also you're all inbred.
yeah, they form more complex thoughts than you.
yeah.
He feels horrible about this, but he does it. He ain't Superman in that he finds a better way.
Right.
He's like,
There is no better way.
there's a tough call here, and I made it.
You understand? This is aquatic justice.
Yes, it's literal aquatic justice. So they bring up the thing and they crack open the stuff and they find the mom and the kid
Oh, okay.
who weren't slaughtered after all. And
thank God.
it's amazing because
But Dad still was.
oh yeah, no, he's dead. Yeah,
He was on that
big
fishing
time.
boat.
And it's cool because the cops begrudgingly acknowledge that Aquaman saved them.
Yeah.
And they're like, "Thanks, Aquaman."
It's really surprising me that they're not like, oh, you must have been in league. You knew right where to find them.
I know.
You must have been in league with the...
Because like there's a lot of bullshit like that happens in this damn book, but like the kid says, "Hey, Aquaman, you're my favorite superhero."
I should hope so.
Yeah, and Aquaman's like,
Hey, Aquaman! Yeah? Thanks! Can you introduce me to Batman?
"No,
He's my
Spear.
favorite superhero.
He's my favorite superhero. He's not even a superhero. He's just a guy, you know. Over there, there's just a guy in a suit.
I just saved your goddamn life. Are you fucking kidding me with this
Pushed
shit?
thousands of pounds through the water. I somehow depressurized you. Fuck." So anyway, the deputy that asked Aquaman to come in the first place, he goes back to the lighthouse and he's like, "Hey, listen, that dog, he doesn't have an owner. The owner's dead. So you want him?"
Oh.
And so Aquaman and Mera inherit a dog.
Okay.
And she's like, he reeks. It smells like
Like-
wet dog.
yeah.
All the time.
It's awful. So yeah, no, and they have a dog, and it's just like, okay,
Oh, okay. Nice.
yeah,
It's a nice little adventure.
yeah.
Is he falling through the air?
Yeah, the next story, there's just one more story in this volume where Aquaman is just stuck in the desert.
Oh.
And he's like, oh shit. Because while he doesn't need to like be in water to be effective, without water he will die.
Oh, really?
Oh.
He needs to like, because like it's the desert.
So he's kind of like a
without
dolphin.
All of us will die.
Oh.
As is the case with Aquaman.
It's not like if I'm out of the water for a day, like I start to dehydrate and like I lose my powers.
Yeah, no. He
Well,
just
just
If
like,
he goes
I
3
need to-
days without water, he will die.
That's
Yeah.
right, exactly. So we're told this story in a linear fashion where
Right.
Aquaman's lost in the desert and then we find out why, but it's told each page has a different timeline. So like Aquaman's in the desert, and then it turns out that like he was called in because they found this Atlantean artifact that has like a high-pitched sound, and just like in Harry Potter, you put it in water and you can know what it sounds like. But what it turns out, like the Atlantean artifact is like a communique from a displaced race of Atlanteans that, whatever. Aquaman winds up being attacked when he's recovering this artifact by what turns out to be Atlanteans. So it looks like Doom Marines, but later he'll kick their ass and break their helmet, and there's water inside, which means like he's like, okay, you're Atlanteans. And they try to escape via their flying vessel and then drop him in the desert.
Like, this is really weird for us.
Yeah. When he cracks the helmet of that guy, he has water in there, and he puts the artifact in the water, and it projects this like message, and it's from this general, seemingly, who is just like, we're getting Atlantis under attack. We're going to be destroyed by this unseen enemy, and we're all going to die. And that's the whole message. And it's basically like the "we cannot get out" scene in fucking Lord of the Rings. But
They are coming.
Yeah, they are coming. And so it's establishing like that something happened to Atlantis, obviously, before it sank into the ocean.
Oh, this is like a message from the old Atlantis.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
And Dr. Shin's like, what does it say?
Please.
The
So
implication that whatever it is like back.
yes, or it's coming, or that the people that stranded him in the desert were working for it, or that they are, who knows.
Right.
But
Does it have anything to do with the weird piranha people?
no, they're all fucking dead.
So, like, they literally created a race of people so Aquaman could just kill them in a story.
In the
Yes.
first story.
Wow.
52.
Yeah, well, we want to show you, number one, the stakes, and number two, how cool Aquaman is.
Right.
So, anyway, that's all that Aquaman gets. That's all the information he gets. We don't even find out, like, anything about it because the Navy shows up and saves Aquaman.
Oh.
So the Navy shows up to the desert.
Yes. Well, apparently the Navy has access to helicopters.
Well,
That's
yeah.
what the article's called.
The Navy would. It's just funny that the Air Force or someone else
Yeah.
doesn't.
And that's it. It's just, the Navy the Navy saves Aquaman, and fucking don't let him forget it.
Maybe they called dibs because they're like, look, if we need a favor, we need to ask Aquaman.
That's
so
true.
have
We
to
are
save
the
him.
Navy. That's true. Yeah, well, they keep tabs on it all the time, just in case. Like, oh, you got a splinter or something? We're there. Now, you got to do a favor for us. There's this nuclear submarine. Could you pick it up?
Could you do us a favor and just take, like, all of Japan and sink it?
Well, incidentally, that's the concern is that, like, Atlantis was a continent, and then it was sank.
Right.
And it used to be like, well, fucking who knows what happened, but there is something that happened, and Aquaman's going to get to the bottom of it.
Okay.
So then Aquaman comes home.
Just a legend.
Yeah. Yeah. So Aquaman comes home, and he's got a note from Mera that says, went to get dog food. And then that last story is just Mera
Getting dog food.
getting dog food in man's world and suffering indignities from like this very obnoxiously like misogynist store manager who is trying to like get touchy with Mera, and then Mera just breaks his arm, and then everyone's like, "Oh, whoa, sea witch, you broke the arm of regular guy. We didn't see him making a pass at you,
Right.
so we're gonna open
We're gonna
fire."
freak out.
So Mera is threatened by all the cops, and she basically says like, "I surrender,"
Right.
and so she goes with them.
Like, I'm not gonna... Look, Arthur has a huge thing about, like, your world and shit. So, like, your law enforcement tells me to stop, I'll go along with you for a time being, just to play along.
Yes, so she goes with them.
This will make Arthur proud.
Yeah. So she goes with them until the cop that arrested her is called in on a hostage situation at the suburban house. This father killed his wife and took his daughter hostage. I guess the idea was he was going to kill everybody. It was going to be a murder-suicide. But the cop showed up before he could commit more murder or suicide. And he's like screaming at the cops. So he's like, she pushed me and I had to do something. And so then she just breaks free of her bondage and then leaves, and the cop's like, "Hey, you surrendered." She's like, "Yeah, well, obviously that wasn't gonna fucking last."
Well,
And
now I'm needed somewhere, so
Yeah.
the facade of me
She
being
just
arrested.
pushes that car door off of the car.
that's right.
That's
So
a great image.
So then the cops are just like, "What are you doing? You get the fuck out of here, Aquaman woman." And she's like, "I'm not gonna." So she's like,
A, that's not my
First
name.
off,
"Yeah, that's not my name," and B, fuck you. And the dad assailant is like, "You're not even near water. There's nothing you can do." And she's like, "There's water everywhere, asshole." And then just goes like, "This is what you're feeling like a day without water, and now 2 days, and now 3." She just starts pulling the water out of his pores.
Oh.
And the cops are like, "Stop! You're gonna kill him." And she's like, "Yeah, it sounds about right. That's my plan. He fucking murdered this poor woman and this girl's mother." And the girl is like, "Don't kill my dad." And she's like, "Why?" And she's like, "Because he's my dad."
Yeah.
And she's like, "You people
I don't
are
understand you people."
stupid. Leave.
Oh my god, she literally says, "I don't understand you people."
Yeah.
I didn't even mean to read that.
So
Maybe I
she
read that
leaves.
subconsciously. So what you're telling me through all this is that she comes back without the dog food.
Yes, that's right. But the store owner shows up with dog food.
Oh.
And she's like, "I put my phone number in here. It's also filled with like dog treats and toys and stuff like that for you because I heard you have a dog. There's my number in there. Call me and I will come to this spot every like week or two with more." And she's like, "Why?" And she goes, "Because I wanted to prove to you that we're not all bad."
Oh.
And she's like, "No, I guess you're not."
Thank you, Aquaman. God damn it!
Yeah. And then Aquaman is just like, "Yeah, turns out that something happened to Atlantis and I'm going to get to the bottom of it." And you're like, okay, so we're establishing that Aquaman is this deeply conflicted person who, throughout the story, by the way, is haunted by visions of his father, whom he idealized. When he was in the desert, he has a vision of his father, and his father berates him and screams at him about like not deciding who he is and about like it's basically a projection of his own insecurities. It's just like he views everything through the lens of what his father might do, and here he is humiliated and defeated by an unknown enemy in the middle of the desert, and he has nothing to show for it after making a boneheaded decision to completely cut off his ties to Atlantis to favor one other version of himself. It's just everything that he does is not the decision that he's sure is the right one.
Right.
Unlike Superman, Aquaman constantly is questioning his decisions. He is not like the bastion of hope and idealized future. He's not the man of tomorrow.
At the same time, Superman doesn't have a people anymore.
Well, that's
Aquaman
true.
still does.
Yes, it'd be like
He abandons.
and he abandons them.
Imagine if Superman still had Krypton and he went back there and they're like, "No, you live on Earth.
Yeah.
Get out of here, you weirdo."
Yeah, I mean, well, it's
Oh,
interesting.
they hate me.
They did that when they resized Kandor, and then Zod took over, and they were like, "Zod saved us and made us big. What have you done, Superman?"
What's gonna happen here with Atlantis? They're gonna turn to someone who's gonna.
Yeah. So yeah, it's cool. I think it's a good starting point for Aquaman.
Yeah.
And I think it's a great starting off point for anyone who wants to know how cool Aquaman can be.
You know what's great about this?
What's that?
It's not an origin story.
No.
Yeah.
No, we don't get all that shit. Because Aquaman's origin's kind of fucking boring. It's just...
Well, not only that, but like, you just jump in the middle of those.
Yes,
Like, no,
boom,
he's Aquaman.
And he's already got Mara, and we're just no. Yeah.
This is cool.
I like it.
And it's really well drawn, too.
Oh, Ivan Rice fucking knocks it out of the park, man. It's great.
Yeah. It looks awesome.
So,
It's awesome and terrifying at the same time.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
This is almost a horror book with those monsters.
yeah, I was actually kind of getting into the story at one point or another a while ago when I remember he was in the trench with these creatures, and he's just like, "I can't see." And I'm like, that's horrifying. Even though he can breathe underwater, that's still terrifying.
All right,
Because-
weird thing about this.
Yeah.
All right, so clearly he has to drink water to survive.
Like a person,
yeah, but he's underwater
Yes.
all the time.
Right.
Which is ocean water.
Yes.
Salt
Well,
water.
He doesn't drink that water.
How does he drink that?
He probably has like a filter, like a gland that filters out. So, like penguins have a gland that filters
Salt water.
Salt water.
Yeah,
Okay.
That's probably it.
he probably does.
He's got a gland. That's a good answer.
Boom. There you go, everybody. Aquaman the Trench, Volume 1 for the New 52. You can pick up a copy in the description box below this video. Pick it up because it's really sweet. I think a fan sent this to us, so I'm fortunate and indebted to them for doing so.
Yeah.
But we'll see you guys next week with another episode. I am Sal.
I'm Ethan.
And I'm Ben.
So long and keep reading.